what like is a statement? We go from needs, because it's like I'm needs, and so then I figured they need, and so that's how my creativity and my imagination comes from my need. What is that restoration or growth or whatever from needs to what? Make it an M.
Your questions are constructed out of the Royal Protocol.
Well, I'm a young, ignorant person. I know.
They're young.
Well,
So
it's... go ahead. No, go ahead.
The word needs is a funny word. It means there's something wrong with me. I would say my tragic experience of what it means to be a human being is what energizes me. What it means to be a human being wounded at the moment of birth. That's what the cry of a child is. They know what they're getting into. And so that shifts the context from I have needs, deficiencies, and that motivates me to try to help others identify with their needs. I don't want to be in that language. I want to say I want to reclaim my aliveness by connecting with your aliveness. So when Jesus says your faith has healed you, what he said is your willingness to experience aliveness. So what I'm looking for in architecture or in the faith community is signs of aliveness. This is what Walter shows up with a flashlight, and you're trying to shed light on sides of aliveness. And aliveness is an affirmation of our humanity.
That's right.
Which we've commercialized by calling them needs. So we do needs assessments. So every foundation in this city will fund all the needs assessments in the world. And if you show up and say, there's some gifts occurring here we want to organize, they'll say that's not in our mission.
Right.
And so stop the language of needs, the language of deficient, not interested, even though it's true. I do have needs. So I like the rediscovering. When I asked Walter at one point, what's it all been about? So I'm trying to do at this stage is to find what's the thread that ties it all together. He says it's rediscovering our humanness.
That's pretty good if I said that.
You did say that. It was wonderful. And so this is the work. So no matter what you're doing, running a church, starting a church, tearing one down, making a building, choosing a home, you only got one goal, is that in the process of that, making it alive, bringing it to life. So Christopher Alexander says that if you want to design a porch, it has to have a quality of aliveness. And he's given his life to naming that. And he says it's got to be more than 6 feet wide.
Is that right?
Yeah. He says, I said, well, what's aliveness in a room? It's got to have 2 entrances. So he studied as an architect. What are those spaces we just don't feel quite right in? He calls it a pattern language. So he's done for physical space what you're doing for the Old Testament.
Yeah. That's terrific.
You're relanguaging the patterns worth paying attention to.
Yeah.
And he's done that for rooms, windows. Quite amazing. So that told me when I read that no matter what you're doing, the work is to bring a quality of aliveness, not only in the product, but in the process. So he says that a house will be determined by the consciousness of a carpenter in every nail that he hammers.
That's wonderful.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
So everybody's on the hook. Nobody to blame, comma. I would say there's nothing to argue about. That what holds back the faith community is argument.
Yep. Yep.
And now there's certain things are worth contesting. You talk about contestation.
Yep.
But not whether we dance or sing or
right.
how we start the service.
Or what color the carpet should be.
Yeah, or whether the pews should be locked down or not.
Yeah.
So in Milwaukee was a church wanted to get rid of the pews. Went to the Vatican. And I thought, smart. Because as soon as you get rid of those pews, you're unleashing a kind of energy you just don't want to deal with. And this is what's going on now with sisters. So there's
That's right.
76,000 nuns in this country. And the Vatican's Inquisition is going to unleash energy that they would have better left alone.
That's right.
Let a few of them talk about her choice. But it's going to be interesting.
A nun told me it's men in dresses pursuing women in pants.
I love that. I love that. I love that. It is true. It is true. And the women in pants can't wear a dress.
That's right.
You know, that's why I love the nuns. They made a commitment with no ambition.
That's right.
They're never going to be in top management.
That's right.
The best they can do is be Mother Superior, which has no currency in the world.
That's right. That's right.
They call it the Mother House. I mean, the language is just
That's
stunning.
right. That's right.
That reminds me of another, about the body. They said the soccer match is 60,000 people who need exercise, watching 20 who don't.
The inversion you guys talk about.
This is the inversion. This is what.
That's wonderful.
This is what is required. See, this is what the conversation is about. Is seeking an inversion. This is your questions about charity, about general, compassion. If it's in the context of lesser, those poor people, then nothing's changed. Now it's not a bad thing. So there's nothing wrong with charity. It's just not useful. It doesn't create. It doesn't produce anything. And it's a defense against care. It's a defense against love. Love is in the knowing, or in the hearing the pain, in the listening. So PBS does StoryCorps, which is quite a healing thing. So they bring a van to town, and you and a family member are given, go in the van, you make appointments, and usually in 3 days they can make 180 appointments for 40 minutes each. It's quite interesting. And then I interview a member of my family about their life. And the best ones they publish and they broadcast. But what they do at the end of that 40 minutes, they give me a CD of that discussion. So take this home with you.
Wow.
So it's a ritual of valorization. It's a ritual of affirmation.
Yep.
That your life has meant something because I asked you about it.
That's right. And I heard you.
I heard you. So that's the alternative to soup kitchens.